Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me. Pause.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight.
Let's get the topic straight. Let's get things good. Let's do everything that we should.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right.
Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right.
Alright guys, how you doing? Hope you guys having a good night and welcome back to another episode of Project Open Mic. Tonight of course I have my lovely wife Nick and Asa to join us.
Hi everyone.
We're going to be having a good topic talking about certain things tonight. So again, thank you for joining us. Again, remember you can check us out. Giving you a heads up when you're hearing this. Some of you like YouTube, Facebook, you're going to hear this in a delay. And the reason because Facebook is being a jerk and YouTube really being a jerk because we do not condone violence on this platform. But we got our first hard strike because YouTube say that I condone violence. And I'm like, I never did. We do not condone violence to nobody.
Well, let's just call, I was going to say let's just call a thing, but I want this to actually get on YouTube. So I don't want us to get this feed to get blocked. But I mean, it's censored, it's not just censored so much for inappropriate content, but for content that they deem appropriate.
Yeah.
So.
One of the shows was Side Chat 21, which was so far back, and they came back and said that I condone violence, which is weird, and I tried to rebut it, but I didn't. But that's YouTube, but they did nonsense. And so right now, people in Facebook and stuff, you guys will get it later on. I'm recording it and put it up. And Temper FM, Spotify, Switcher, Anchor, you guys are getting it. Thank y'all for that. Of course, you live, and of course, Nico. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. So tonight's episode basically is a continuation of that. If you will still watch videos on YouTube. That would have most of it. If you go back to YouTube, there's I did a couple videos where it was talking about kids and how we failed the kids. So we're doing tonight. We're doing part 4. I think it's 4. It could be 5, but I don't know really. But it's part 4. I don't 1, 2, 3. I did so close, and I think I did another one so far away that's I can't say. But
We'll just say
if it's
4.
not 4, but if not, it'll be 5, and then we go from there. But tonight we're gonna talk about some craziness that's been happening in a place that sadly has a messed up name because of the reason it's called Chirac, which is Chicago.
And this just popped in my head for our listeners who don't live in the States. I would love to hear your feedback. If you hear any of the current events that are going on in Chicago and what your take is on that. Because I had made a joke to my husband earlier today that I was basically like, well, we can just go there and fly to Mexico,
Yeah,
before I go to Chicago. So I would just love to hear what others think of Chicago if it's making it to your area. Because yeah.
I don't have my phone up here to check the comments from Temple FM.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, sorry about that in that regard. But yes, so that's what we're talking about. Me and her, we went on our lovely walks. Gotta keep it going and stuff. And we were just talking about how the situation is, and we're gonna be showing you that tonight. Now, as I said before, I mean, we are trying to be parents. We're trying to have a family. Like I said, we just got married almost six
No,
months ago.
that
Almost 6 months ago.
yeah.
Basically, we basically, if we don't have 6 months really, but we're also, we say we try to have a family and everything as well too. And I feel that the millennials, which we are, we're the tail, we're the top end, like just to begin.
Yeah.
I am, and she's yeah, but
We're millennials, but would you say that our personalities lean more towards well, I guess I don't know. They lean more towards Generation X.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could say that, but it just trickled down. I mean, the boomers had something. X was the crazy one because they were the ones who had the whole hippy dippy and all that craziness as well too. The love child, free spirit, all that nonsense came into it, and then like I said, the millennials just we really we got a good taste of good stuff. Like I always said that we like for me, like I grew up and maybe this is for you too, but with me, like I think growing up in the '90s, we got the best of like the TV shows,
Oh
the
yeah.
cartoons,
Most
the
definitely.
movies. Like the movies that we have today, yeah, are they more spectacular? Yeah, are they more stunning?
Yeah,
Yes.
you've
Are
got
they,
you see it in the
but
budget,
yeah,
but
the storytelling and everything, and not
and just
trying
the
to
quality of the characters. Oh, I
yeah.
didn't mean to
No,
throw
no,
this
no,
off.
no. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're correct. And not try to push dramas to push the movie. I like that. I like that.
Absolutely. I mean, just seeing those commercials, the car insurance commercials
Yeah.
with Carl Winslow from Family Matters, his character,
Progressive, yeah.
progressive. It reminds you, it's that nostalgia, which is a marketing tool,
Yeah.
but it does remind you of the quality that we got. And when I see little old feeds of a different world, and
Yeah.
it really, we live in, I feel like we live in one of the best eras far as
Things was
as
going
a
on.
television and entertainment,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, TGIF, well, we had that,
Well,
and
yeah.
I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
and they had, and it was when you
Family
compare
fun.
that to
Yeah.
now, it was so much substance in what we just chuckled at and we didn't even know it.
Yes.
Like it, yeah.
And the thing about it, like I said, we had that for me. It was again being that I was more like the cartoons. We like the old classics, '60s and '70s with Droopy and Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry. They were still prevalent. Then you had the new cartoons, which is Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, SWAT Cats,
Yes.
and then later on, these for my anime heads. Then you had Toonami with Dragon Ball Z and Voltron, and all those coming over like. We that was just the era we had all those cool stuff, and then I said we as you could see we are black people, and even though we might be white because we didn't vote for Biden, but he said if you remember what Biden said.
Oh yeah.
If I
He's taking away black cards for those who didn't vote for him.
yeah.
Didn't know that was possible, but
But
okay.
anyway, but point taken is that in the '90s we had good shows. Like she just said, we had Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Martin,
Oh my gosh, I forgot Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper,
Oh,
Fresh Prince. Again, I really didn't care about the color stuff because Step by Step.
Yes, Step
Boy
by
Meets
Step. I
World.
love Step by Step. I love
Boy Meets World.
Growing up in a blended family, Step by Step was my jam. Boy Meets World. I was just talking to you about Boy Meets World yesterday. I loved Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World was good for me because Boy Meets World, I watched A Different World when I as a child. So I watched A Different World and appreciated A Different World and appreciated now, but at the time of A Different World, I was much younger than what they were portraying. But A Boy Meets World, I grew up with them, so that was my jam. I love
so
A
as
Boy
you
Meets
said, A
World.
Different World. Also, we like I said, Hanging with Scooper, Sister.
Yes, so oh my
we had
gosh,
Sister.
those were some classic shows. I
We
love
had
those shows.
and we again we like I said it made no difference because if you like I said the color like you just stated with the different because again, even though we grew up, we still had the late TVs. We still had like I Love Lucy, I Love Jeannie,
Yes.
Beverly
They show the
Hillbillies,
Andy Griffin
Different
show.
Show.
I
All those
mean,
kept on coming, so they keep on playing. They don't play as much now, but they do then.
yeah. That was
So
the stuff you just knew to watch. I grew
yeah,
up watching MacGyver and
MacGyver, oh,
Walker,
Night
Texas Ranger
Ranger.
with my grandmother.
There you go. Knight Rider, the 18, and stuff like
Oh,
that.
we could go on.
So
and
my
on.
point,
we
my
just
my
walking
point,
down
my point,
memory
yeah,
lane.
my point is, we had shows that had black people. The ones I listed off at the beginning, they were black.
Yes.
They weren't ratchet. They weren't ghetto.
And it wasn't forced.
It wasn't forced.
People were casted more appropriately.
Yes.
And that's been a big hot topic now with a lot of like revamping of Disney movies and so forth and so on.
That was the golden
I
age of
feel
Disney
like,
too.
yeah, I feel like that they more appropriately casted shows. Now, do I think they should have did a black princess movie much sooner than they
Yes.
did? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I satisfied with the princess movie that they did? No, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, like I said, but again, we was the Lion King.
I feel like The Lion King is one of the best things Disney will probably ever create. That's just me, especially something that represents the African continent.
that and also the Song of the South. Even though they wouldn't know because of the racist undertone that was there, I get it.
Yeah,
but it still was a good. I like it. And Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and all those as well too. But that was a classic. I was saying those were the times where Disney. Now they're just morally bankrupt. Okay, just I don't care. I know people like we're going on a family trip down to this down there, and some of the family members want to go to Disney, and I'm like, even though I ain't been there in a long time, I'm like, nah.
Well, in their defense, they do have a lot of our family members that are going to have small young children.
Yeah.
And at that time, one day we probably will be taking our kids there at least once in their lifetime. I've been to Disney World several times, because there's a lot to see and to do.
Yeah. But for me, I'm gonna say we mostly went Universal. But anyway, I'm just saying we're just setting this up because of what you're about to see. We gotta lighten it up a little bit because it's gonna get a little dark. It's just the humanity of the world. It's just like it people need to understand, and I've said this before. Back in those days too, we had when I was back in the Caribbean island, back in the news, and I didn't see all this stuff because the local news was local news. You didn't see this stuff. All the horrible stuff was happening, but it's gotten to us way faster, way quicker because of these little devices.
Yes.
That's the difference. It was always happening. It's just that we never paid attention to it, or it never got to us. Whatever we could read what's going on in Japan right now compared to then, where you have to wait a couple of days to get to the newspaper.
And that's something to hold on to for our topic coming on later too, with the gun violence and everything.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that. So in that regard, let's straight up just get straight into it. Like I said, Chirac. The name is appropriate.
Very
appropriate.
Very. I remember a couple years ago when I heard the term, and I'll be honest, I mean, I wasn't keeping up with Chicago like that. The most I had studied on Chicago was in school. We had to do like a infrastructure read about Chicago because it's got a lot of history, of course, which a lot of places do. And a lot of things happen in industrial wise with Chicago and how it shifted economically and things in that nature. And what you see now, me personally, I struggle to see what would bring me to Chicago. Like, what type of opportunity would make me go, hey, that's worth me going to live in Chicago? Because it's just become so corrupted.
Yes.
And this is a state in the United States. It's this is part of, I mean, it's a city, yeah, but it's just like, I don't know.
Well, we know Lori Lightfoot was in there. She got voted in because she was of course, she was black, a woman, and a lesbian. I got nothing against none of those things. My thing has always been, and as I always say at the end of the show, and people who've been watching this for a long time, this is episode 104. I don't care what your color, your race, your race is. Okay, as long as you're a good person,
Right.
good person with good ideas. Again, I'm not even faulting for that. That's why I always tell people I separate. I know people don't like it, but I do. Again, they're Democrats and Republicans. Both parties, to me, I think I'm a libertarian. Both parties need a third party in there because these two parties got too much of a grip hold. Really, it is. And we have center, we have center left, center right. Those are people I could talk to them all day. The radical right, yeah, they don't like. And I got a simple thing to do is I don't listen to them because they don't got the radical right don't really have that much power really to say. But the radical left, they got Hollywood in their pocket,
Yes.
the newspaper, the movies, the television shows, all of them is in their pocket, and they're trying to control every single thing, and I don't like that at all,
Yeah.
at all, at all. So tonight, as I said, we're gonna look at Chirac. Over last weekend, they had something that they got put to at school, and before we get there, I want to say this because me and my wife talked about this even before we got married. Jitterbug. I'm sorry. I'm not giving my child no phone where they could access the internet willy nilly. I know, I know you parents out there's some parents out there who got like kids at 7, 8, 9 years old. That's good for you. I hope you could keep the boundaries and make it up, but I ain't doing that.
But the reality is whatever you give your child, whatever type of resources your child grow up with. I've read somewhere a post that a Facebook friend had said, in reference to substitute teacher here in North Carolina.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna we have the video.
Beating restraining a child.
No, they didn't restrain, but no. But I got I got the full story though.
Gotcha.
Yeah, go
Can't
ahead.
wait to hear that.
Yeah.
But they made a comment that they said this is an unpopular opinion. The reality is that I'm paraphrasing. The reality is that some parents could be doing all that they can do in raising their children and so forth, but the peer pressure that they go to school and get, or the influence that their peers have over them, can sometimes derail the parenting skills that you may have.
That is true. Peer pressure is something.
And
I'm not denying that.
And I did commend them for saying that, just not trying to be just trying to present a different perspective.
There's a flaw in it, but I do understand the point. No,
when I read that, I thought about myself as an adult, just going out and marketing and being on the ground and socializing with people. You have to always be ready for an objective. When you meet someone, if you want to sell them something or if you want to present something to them, you can't just go just with your spiel and not expect there to be some type of opposition or somebody to question you. And so when you put that in terms of parenting, even if you are that parent who says you don't do this, you don't do that, do this, do that, what have you, in today's time, it is very vital to stay clued in and connected on some level with what children are facing and up against around their peers and in a lot of social gatherings, and be able to have those conversations as to, if this comes up, you should do this. If someone presents you this is why you should not put this in your body. This is why you should respond this way if this happens. You have to do that because there is so much activity and busyness and so many different variables that are occurring and scenarios that didn't happen when we were in school. And so it's not enough just to give this one-dimensional parenting skill. You have to broaden your horizon, and it does require more work. And this is another tangent, but that is also why the nucleus family is vital in today's time, if not ever. But yeah,
that is true. So So basically, we want to talk about. Let's see here. See, 'cause that's the yeah, those are the two substitutes you'll see. That's why I was bring that. Okay, so let's talk about Chicago. Lately, this has been happening to a lot of places: New York, California, other places where some people they're combining some. They get a phone, get the kids wherever they want, Facebook, whatever, and say, "Hey, meet us down here so we could do this and do this," and they consider peer pressure, like you're stating. So I give you that is true. So this Chicago, they had 200 teens just rampaging through Chicago last weekend, Friday and Saturday. And again, where I have to say, I get you, but the parents is as well too. You let them out the house because I'm not like, where you going? I need to know, blah 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 blah.
For sure.
So
For sure, for sure.
so let's just look at this situation here.
Even before all of this unfolded, my concerns about the DNC coming to the city of Chicago was going to be, how do we keep people safe?
A lot of questions are being asked in the wake of last weekend's violence downtown, and even more now because social media posts now promise part 2 this weekend.
At least one Southside politician is defending the disruptions as a political statement. Others
You can't help it.
are demanding deployment of more police.
Political editor Mike Flannery reports.
Last weekend's downtown violence included assaults, armed robberies, the looting of a Walgreens on State Street, and attacks on police who intervened.
They were throwing bottles and rocks at police. They were outnumbered. They were being punched and kicked by some in the crowd.
As new posts on social media call for more trouble next weekend, Brian Hopkins wants the organizers identified and prosecuted. He sees it as vital preparation for next year's Democratic National Convention, scheduled to convene in just 16 months.
If we have that convention and violence is allowed to reign on our streets once again, we can't afford to take that chance.
Some defended those involved in last weekend's events. For example, Southside State Senator Robert Peters tweeted, "I would look at the behavior of young people as a political act and statement. It's a mass protest against poverty and segregation."
Poverty and
I don't even know how. I think this is that. Me, honestly, I think that's a perfect example of someone who just wants to be seen.
but it's not even seeing you're pouring more gas on the fire.
Exactly. But on what level? I don't.
That's not a that I mean, look what he said. Like that don't make sense. Look at I would look at the behavior of young people as a political statement. Does that look like any political statement? Beating up, trashing the place? It's a mass process on poverty. So tear down. So you live in a poor house, you're gonna
But
tear down the house.
it's always a heavy contradiction when people support that type of behavior for their city, but yet you get upset when businesses leave.
Thank you, because Walmart is leaving Chicago for Walmart.
So you're supporting this and trying to portray this to look like a protest against poverty as you're tearing up the city. That doesn't. That's a contradictory, and it's ignorant. Honestly, it really is a really ignorant illustration. I can't say anything else other than
Yeah, it is that.
Segregation. The 15th Ward's Ray Lopez worries that the violence threatens to cost tens of thousands of jobs at Chicago's biggest employer, the tourism and hospitality industry.
Yeah.
We have to put an end to this, and I hope that my colleagues stand up and let our mayor-elect and his choice for superintendent know that this is a priority that must be dealt with swiftly and correctly.
Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson plans to speak to lawmakers at the state capitol tomorrow, but he's likely to face questions as well about his plans for dealing with downtown violence and its threat to the state's economy.
He ain't doing it. I gotta tell you that. He ain't doing it.
that is a big thing, because I mean, the type of impact that Chicago has, it's not like, oh, the city of Raleigh in reference to North Carolina.
Gotcha.
Chicago has heavily tarnished Indianapolis. It really has. It's just, it's like, how far outside of Chicago can I live, it's,
No, you're correct. It has done horrible, horrible things. I'm trying to find something, but I'm keep talking. But I'm trying to find horrible things because this just doesn't make no sense. Again, that you want. Oh, there it is. Here it is. Oh, gotta show this. That's what I'm looking for.
And I do hope they find those organizers.
I hope so too.
Because they do need to be held responsible
for what
and what I would love to see, and I know it would take a lot of groundwork, I would love to see them round up those organizers and as many of people children that they found that were terrorizing their city and make them clean up that city. Because that's a part of why people are so carefree to just go and tear up things and they don't realize somebody's got to clean that up. Somebody's got to repair that, and you just doing these things as free as you want to be with no regard to, you're tearing up this city that you live in.
Yeah, well, here's another part of that same thing right there. Let's look into this one. Before we get into another part, we're talking about the Walmart and everything. Why, like, oh, wow, Walmart's leaving. I'll show you why Walmart's leaving.
It was just absolutely random.
And here's the thing. Here's a black guy. Here's a white woman. They were visiting Chicago.
We were just trying to walk through a group of people.
Caught up in
That's
a mob,
them.
2 out-of-towners sharing their story after being beaten by teens downtown on Saturday.
A key part of the story, the Good Samaritan who stepped in to help.
Anthony Ponce is live with more tonight. Anthony?
Yes, Corey, and Dawn, this attack happened here on the 100 block of North Wabash Avenue Saturday night. It could have ended way worse had it not been for the intervention of a truly good Samaritan who says that the video of this attack that went viral over the weekend really only captures the tail end of what she describes as an absolutely brutal attack.
Oh,
the victims here, a couple visiting from out of town. They're in their early 20s, staying in an Airbnb. They were out to dinner, just trying to enjoy their night.
Wow.
We were just downtown in Chicago trying to shop, trying to get some food. And we were walking down the street and there was a really big group of guys, a really big group of people.
Oh my God.
Yeah, guys and girls. And, DJ had my hand and he was trying to lead me through the crowd of people. And they pushed him, they pushed me. And as soon as they pushed me, I told DJ, I said, hey, they just shoved me.
The mob attack happened right near Macy's
Wow.
Wabash Street entrance.
And it was a mob of about 60 to 100 people.
They said they're going to kill us. They turned around and, started fighting,
They were shoeless. They didn't have they were looking for their phones, but it was no point because the phones had been taken away.
Both the victims and Lenora Dennis, the woman who came to their aid, say that several Chicago police officers passed by but did not intervene.
Cops drove right by it, act like they didn't see anything.
I literally went out into the street and stopped and held my hands up to a police car and asked them to stop and motioned them over to what was going on. And they just cut a path around me and just kept going.
She was eventually able to get the couple into her car. Then she drove them to the police station.
Thank God for her.
Sergeant that this was going to happen. It was going to keep happening because Brandon Johnson got elected. That floored
the new mayor.
An ambulance then took them to the hospital, but the couple was without their phones, wallets, and shoes, which had all been stolen during the attack.
I told the couple that I was going to go home to find them some shoes so that they wouldn't be barefoot for the rest of the night.
Her name is Lenora.
Wow. She gave us shoes, took us home, took us to the hospital.
She was godsend.
Thank you.
Just do unto others, and that's a mantra that I live by every day. Is just do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Lord, your vote matters, people.
And despite her criticism,
your local vote matters.
Yes.
Some of the police response downtown, she says that detectives at the police station took the police report, were great and did a very thorough job. An investigation into that attack is now underway, but so far, no one is in custody.
Okay, just so you get the synopsis of this craziness. And again, so let me show you why Walmart. Y'all, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's bad Walmart did it," and I get it. I understand what the guy said. Yes, it sucks that Walmart's pointing out and creating more of a food desert. But here's the problem, though. Y'all people wanted Walmart in there to give it to the mom and pops. That's what it is. You didn't want a mom and pop spot, so y'all wanted a Walmart in there. Well, Walmart got in there. And they're not making money because of a situation, which I'm going to show you right now. This is a situation why Walmart is leaving. And unless you are a complete moron, you could figure this out. So let me show you this. And all this is a shock to my wife. I pull up the videos because I know what I do in my shows, but my wife is going
Yeah, he likes to get the first reactions out of me.
Okay, you ready?
I wear my heart on my sleeve. Yes, I'm ready.
Why do people post their crimes on TikTok?
Eating free at Walmart.
Everyone
Stealing.
Oh, good. Teach the young kid to steal. That's a good start. And I'm sorry, but what the hell are those dots on that woman's face? Did she lose a fight with a stapler?
Take that and that.
She looks like she's about to motion capture a scene from Avatar. But here's the worst part. The stuff they're choosing to eat is bullshit. You could eat anything for free at a grocery store and you choose like Lunchables and Oreos? That's junk food. Steal some feta cheese, some fresh cut prosciutto. Have some class. I mean, come on, you want to be healthy when you go to prison.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Continually teaching bad behavior.
Exactly.
To the young.
Exactly.
Over and over again, I show you these videos. The same behaviors are passed down to the young.
Exactly.
Is wrong.
Yeah, that's the part that killed me. Let me go this way.
Demonizing children is wrong. We have to keep them safe as well.
That's the new mayor. Demonizing children is wrong.
Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson saying
And
the
what is-
teenagers who
yes, let's
rampaged
hear
through
this.
downtown last weekend deserve sympathy as much as punishment. He fielded questions after speaking to lawmakers earlier.
Our political editor, Mike Flannery, joins us with more. Mike?
Natalie and Anthony, while the mayor-elect said he doesn't condone the violent assaults and robberies committed downtown last weekend, he offered no specific plans regarding the threat of renewed violence this spring and summer. He spoke mostly in general terms about troubled youth.
They're young. Sometimes they make silly decisions. They do. And so we have to make sure that we are investing to make sure that young people know that they are supported.
How about the parents do their job first? I'll go with that part, in my opinion. If you want to say something, say it.
I'm just trying to get in his head.
He's a politician. That's hard.
Yeah, but even still.
He's a leftist too. But go ahead.
How do you excuse that? Or is it you just say, oh, they're young until something really horrible happens. And something did horrible happen to that couple. What about their experience?
And they're young too. They're in their 20s. No?
Oh, gracious.
We also have to make sure that police officers who put their lives on the line have the resources that they need to keep it safe. Clearance rates.
But but what about the defunding of police?
And he was a defund police person.
Mayor-elect spoke to a joint session of the Illinois General Assembly, as Lori Lightfoot did 4 years ago. But where Lightfoot knew little of the inner workings of the state capitol, Johnson once worked for Senate President Don Harmon of Oak Park, embracing him there, and was a lobbyist for the Chicago Teachers Union. He knows a lot about Springfield. The Teachers Union, of course, has long demanded a nurse and social worker at every Chicago public school, a big round of new hiring, and it's a top priority for Johnson.
Investing to create 200 more jobs in the Chicago public schools can yield incredible dividends going forward.
I got a question. I got to stop you there. 200 jobs. That's not a lot of money. So why we can't do that? What? Do we need billions of dollars to get 200 jobs? That's what the government, and that's why as a libertarian, I don't like how the government spend their money. Because that's crap to me.
And also, I want to speak to the comment that was made by the Good Samaritan as she was re-quoting the police officer who said it's just gonna keep happening because Johnson is in office.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I'm assuming that must be like some part of the culture in Chicago now. You've got this.
It's always been Democrats, so you figure out.
So
this
you
is,
feel like,
and he's crazy. They're thinking that he's more crazier than Lori Lightfoot, and Lori Lightfoot was back crazy.
So they don't see any help or consequences coming.
I think he gonna as you hear in his speech.
Just give everything a pass.
He plays to the old Democrat stuff. Let's do this, that.
Right.
And that's it. He doesn't really. Lori Lightfoot didn't do nothing when she was in the 4 years she was in there.
So literally, they're part of the problem, not the solution.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Mayor-elect Johnson said nothing in public today about his proposed $800 million in Chicago tax
See, $800 million, but to raise $800 million to what? To put 200 people in there?
Right.
The math never works
That math
out.
doesn't add up.
But we know that he never gives, as he just said, he never gives the details, which is, of course, to his donors, to his friends, to all this stuff.
Right.
That's what it is. So that's that. Let's continue.
A deadly trend with innocent victims. Carjackings are turning into car crashes.
One of the most recent incidents left a 6-month-old baby dead.
Nate Ross.
This is Chicago, and you saw the one where we do it in the gas station.
This is all part of the whole frenzy. But kids will be kids.
Rogers is live with more. Nate.
Hyundai Santa Fe versus Super.
As usual, sorry about that. I use people's stuff to give them credit since I use their stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Corey and Don. The victims in this crash, in fact, were a mother and her 3 children. One of the children was an infant, less than 6 months old. We're told who died as a result. We spoke to an aunt today who described the family's pain as unbearable. 6 months old and now a cherished memory.
But he was like 6 months going on 26. He was just like the sweetest little boy. We would always dance. He loved to dance.
Sunday around 5 p.m., the family inside the silver pickup truck then struck by the stolen Hyundai Sonata, according to police. The truck then head on into this large tree at Costner in Washington.
Truly the biggest nightmare.
The car seat still visible in the wreckage, neighbors rushing to the scene to render aid. Christian Uvidia, his mother, and 2 older sisters all rushed to the hospital in serious to critical condition.
I think a lot of it too, they've kind of blocked out just from the trauma.
The 6-month-old fought to stay alive for 3 days.
He suffered from a fractured skull, which caused his brain to swell and bleed, eventually causing him to go into a coma and then later passing away.
The offending vehicle crashed into a light pole, police later arresting a 14 and 17-year-old, both charged with misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors after doing that. Misdemeanors. You need to go. No, y'all need to go some time in jail. Ain't no misdemeanor for doing that. You kill a child. You ran a red light. You did all that stuff. This is why they cry.
Stolen car, no licenses.
Of course not for that. Not for doing that. No. Ran a red light.
Cause
that woman did not see that coming. She thought she was, hey, my time to go. Whatever. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what that is.
Wow.
And you want to hold these kids thing? Yes, hold these kids responsible. I'm sorry. Yes, they're kids. They don't know certain things, but that right there is just a heinous act. And you're going to give them a misdemeanor? That don't make sense. But, again, let's get it on the other side.
In Baltimore.
That's right. In just the past 24 hours, 6 people were shot in 3 different shootings. One of the victims died. 4 of those people were hurt in a single shooting along North Charles Street in North Baltimore today. Over the weekend, 4 young people ages 12 to 18 were shot. The 12-year-old victim, identified as Jalen Richards, died. And now we're hearing from one mother who says she pulled her son, who knew Jalen, out of the city to try to save his life.
People are lying to themselves, and it's very possible. I just told you my son had an Uzi. I'm not going to lie to the public. This is a crisis right now.
That's what she said. He had an Uzi.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Frost spoke with that mother
We'll have her story coming up in a few minutes.
Jeff Abel has what the mayor said during his State of the City address tonight.
Our team coverage begins with Keith Daniels. Keith joins us live with more in regards to what we know about Jalen Richards and how the community is coming together. Keith?
Well, Kai, school officials say Jalen Richards was in the 6th grade. He was a student at Westport Academy Elementary Middle School, and tonight he's one of the city's youngest homicide victims. At Westport Homes in South Baltimore, recovering from the unthinkable. 12-year-old Jalen Richards, seen here in this photo from Murder Inc. Baltimore, shot and killed. Longtime neighbor, known as Miss Cookie, in disbelief, saddened for the boy's family.
The mother's heart is aching. I don't even know if she have other children or not. I don't know that. But I know she got to be hurting because I'm a mother. She's hurt.
Someone gunned down Jalen at about 9 o'clock Saturday night. It happened on Mizell Court in the apartment complex. Police Commissioner Michael Harrison says they recovered what appears to be assault rifle casings on the ground after the shooting. Investigators are releasing few details about exactly what happened, but the commissioner did say this at the scene.
A shooter produced a firearm, an assault rifle type firearm, and began firing. Struck this young victim as the victim was running away. At some point, the victim collapsed about a block behind where we are.
At Westport today, the group We, Our, Us, a unity engagement men's movement, steps through the neighborhood, as they do across the city on most Mondays. On this night, they're in Jalen's community.
Number one, we're bringing them presence of black men. Secondly, we're bringing them unity, we're bringing love, but also we're bringing resources. There may be other individuals in this community that need employment, that need treatment.
Jalen's deadly shooting happened in BPD's Southern Police District, where police say 46 homicides and 67 non-fatal shootings happened last year. So far this year, 10 homicides and 16 shootings.
Killing, senseless killing. You just don't know why.
Neighbors like Miss Cookie looking for accountability.
I want to see everybody step up and do something about it. Not just the mayor and whatever. Everybody come together.
Fox 45 News spoke with members of Maryland's congressional delegation today who tell us they are outraged by the city's youth crime crisis.
Are you? Some of them is like, are you?
Damn shame that this continues to take place. It's a damn shame that it's out of control. And it's a damn shame that most of us don't have answers to it because it is so complex.
I gotta stop you there for a second. I remember there was this white guy. Oh no, wait, there was this orange guy who said Maryland is an S-hole and it's killing a lot of people. And they went, oh, I can't believe whatever. He was one of those guys that said, I can't believe that president said that. Ain't it a shame now that what he said and try to help, but y'all didn't want to help?
Oh yeah, and it's not just the shootings. There are so many missing girls in Maryland.
Yeah.
In that sex trafficking route that just goes right through that state. It's
crazy.
Yeah.
In terms of law enforcement, Senator Cardin and I have been working with the Justice Department to get more U.S. attorneys to Baltimore and get more ATF officers to Baltimore.
Funny I'll say that again, but y'all would defund the police a couple years ago. But
Right.
again, the sense of it.
In several news clippings, we've just heard how more police has been literally the theme.
Now we need more police officers and
So
more.
we definitely have had a shift from defund to more police.
To address the issue of so many guns on the streets.
Yeah. Yes. Now you're gonna say so many guns on the street again. The little, I thought I had a story about that woman, but the woman said that her son had not told her, but she did say, yeah, my son got an Uzi. How do a little the little boy that passed away? He was his friend, 7 years, 7th grade, whatever. How did he get a Uzi?
Because Maryland is riddled in the drug community.
How did how did a little boy get a Uzi?
He's hanging out with gang members. That's the only excuse that I can think of.
Okay.
Is they don't have to look for gangs. It's just literally there.
No, you're correct.
They can pick up a gun like they can pick up a candy bar.
Yes.
I commend that mother for moving her child out of that situation, and like you said, not turning the other cheek, because that it could be something you don't want to face or have to admit as a parent that your child has that.
Yeah.
But kids have become so desensitized with guns, especially if you don't teach them at an early age that this is not a toy.
Yep.
This can end a life.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And again, so we're gonna jump to another topic, which is in Alabama. Here's a funny this topic here. This video we're gonna play. Here's a messed up part, and this is just messed up. It was a mass shooting. No other than local news, which always is, and I say that local news does. But where were the Nancy Pelosi's? Where were the multiple people on the news and everybody talking about this senseless violence and everything? When it's a mass shooting, and it's a woman, if it's a white person, then we gotta say all this blah, blah, blah. And again, here's the truth. I if it's a white person that did it, I don't care what anything. I am okay. I gotta censor myself a little bit because of what the strike we already have. But I do think the cops did a great service to the woman, to the one that happened in Kentucky with the whatever. Because my thing is always, why there should be a verdict called super guilty. We got you on tape killing all these people. Let's not waste time with no trials. Let's not waste time to try to figure out why did you. No, you're guilty. Point blank. You took a gun and you killed a person. We all saw you because you broadcasted all over the internet. Right. So let's not waste time on whatever. Let's not do a trial. Let's not do none of that stuff. Straight guilty. I could say something, but just because of what we just came out of with YouTube, I don't want to say what I gotta say. Okay, I'll keep it a little thing. But nobody talk about. But here's the thing. Let's talk about this mass shooting. This was a crazy mass shooting. 4 people shot. 22 people. 4 people dead. 24 people shot. That's a lot.
I remember when Trump was in office and the shooting had occurred in California. You remember that shooting with the gentleman? I think it was a government building. He worked in, and he shot and killed some of the employees. That was breaking news. That was everywhere.
Yeah.
So yes, there's definitely a
if you're
hypocrisy happening.
If you want to say mass shooting, let's call all mass shootings, but they don't want to do it because a lot of mass shootings happen in neighborhoods. We don't talk about those ones. We don't. So we're gonna play. Since they ain't gonna bring it up, sadly, we're gonna bring it up.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a mass shooting that happened at an Alabama birthday party where 28 people were shot, and 4 of them are no longer here with us. May they rest in peace, and prayers out to the families and to those who are injured, battling for your life, or whatever the case may be. May you get well soon.
Yep.
Now, this story should be all over the news. It should be just like the Nashville shooting, Uvalde shooting.
Mm-hmm.
It should be just like that, right? There should be wall-to-wall protests talking about gun control now, all this and that. This should be what this is. Now, I am seeing some media coverage, to be honest. Some media coverage, but not to the level of some of the other mass shootings.
The scale.
Why? We'll talk about that in one moment, but first, let's roll the clip. Of course, this clip will be in the description if you want to see it for yourself without my commentary. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio and go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Terrible news. It's a mass shooting in Alabama at a sweet 16th birthday party. 4 people were killed and 28 others hurt. Most of them were teenagers. Now, this happened at a dance studio in the city of Dadeville, Alabama, Witnesses report that there were multiple shooters, but so far, police have made no arrest in this case. There have already been 31 mass shootings just this month in America, and today is...
Now, let's pause for a minute. A mass shooting is defined as, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 or more people shot at one time. If that's incorrect, y'all please let me know in the comments below.
Only the 17th day of April. Omar Villafranca is in Dadeville, Alabama, with more on the story. Omar, you certainly don't think of a Sweet 16 party as a deadly place, but that is the world we live in today, unfortunately. Good morning to you.
Good morning. When people say it can happen anywhere, this is what they mean. Dadeville is small town USA, population just over 3,000. The venue where it happened, right behind me, right on the old main street.
Now, to be fair, this is a small town, but what I hear is that it's by Mobile, Alabama, which is not far from New Orleans as well. So we keep that in mind.
Dance studio used to be the old bank. And for teenagers, this was probably the place to be this weekend. A birthday party. Everybody was probably talking about it, a Sweet 16. And then on Saturday, the unthinkable happened again.
Again? Hold on. Again?
Again. 28 people shot.
Again, he said. That's crazy. Oh, crap. No, my mistake. That one's on me. I want to hear the again part. That's crazy. You said again.
Descended on the local hospital. It was Masterpiece Dance Center. Ambulances, police cars, and parents descended on the local hospital.
It was people's everywhere, running and yelling and...
This is Jimmy Hank Goodman, the mayor of the town.
Crying and going on.
I got shot right here. Right here.
18-year-old Tanaya Cox was shot 3 times. She says she saw multiple gunmen inside the dark club.
I just saw 2 in the bathroom, and that's why I ran.
Police have not released any details about the suspect or suspects and would not say if anyone is in custody for the attack.
We'll never be the same.
Pastor Ben Hayes led a vigil for the victims Sunday night.
Most of the kids there were from Dadeville. This impacted us a lot.
He says one of the deceased is senior star athlete Phil Dowdell. It was his sister's birthday party. Their mother was also shot. Dowdell was just weeks from graduation and recently committed to play football at Jacksonville State next year.
Wow.
Daquan Doss says he was with Dowdell at the party, but the two ran in opposite directions when the shooting started.
I was standing right beside him. The shooting went on.
And the trauma that they have from this.
I think he went right into it. I went opposite way.
That's pain.
My God.
I wish I could have pulled him out.
Police have been very tight-lipped about this investigation. There's a lot we do not know. We don't know how many suspects they're looking for or how many suspects they're looking for, if it's 1, 2, based on what witnesses are saying. We don't know what kind of gun was used. We don't know the motive, but we're hoping to learn more at a press conference later on this morning.
Okay, so that's that. Again, this will be in the description. There's an article, there's a video, there's more information for you guys to read and watch and consume on your own. But you guys were looking at the video. You guys were listening to the testimony of those who were there, those who escaped. And again, my heart's out to them. Prayers out to them. Prayers out to their families. What was the common denominator? Everybody's black.
Yes.
Am I saying that people are racist? They don't really care about black crime? Not necessarily. What I'm saying is, since this was black on black and kind of just expected, you know, you got a birthday party or it's a club or something like that. Oh, yeah, they're going to shoot it up. No problem. You got 28 people shot, 4 of them dead. It's not really that big of a deal. But then when you see a Christian school and you could say, okay, it's a white shooter, domestic terrorist. Is he a right-wing person? Was it social media? Was he a Trump supporter? You see where I'm going?
Right.
There's a certain narrative you want to craft, not you guys, but the media and some politicians. There's a certain narrative to craft whenever the opportunity presents itself. But when it doesn't, then there's no more narrative. Therefore, there's less coverage. There's less intensity. There's less heartbreak and emotion and things of that nature because the narrative ain't there. That's what's going on. So black on black violence, 28 shot, 4 dead. No big deal. We can't craft a narrative about that, so why do we care? Same thing, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and really Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, Louisiana, a lot of places where you got a lot of, like you got an urban center with a lot of black folks in it, and there's crime going on, whatever. Nashville, oh man, we got to do something to stop it, man. You got these little kids, and of course, who's not going to have their heart in peace? But you got little kids that are being killed.
Yeah.
Okay, you got old ladies and a man that's a janitor. You could craft a narrative. Then there's also the whole thing about the transgender and the mental health, and of course, the main thing they want to do is focus on the gun. Focus on the gun violence when it comes to white people doing certain things or non-blacks doing certain things. When it comes to blacks, it's easily dismissed because people expect it. That is the truth. Could that be racism? Maybe, but we got to examine what's going on in our urban inner city areas. We have to examine that. We can't just act like that's not going on.
Right.
We can't put our heads in the sand and be like, oh, that's not going on. It is going on. So when it comes to us, when it comes to the so-called black community, it's expected, no big deal, no narrative to push. We can't say white supremacist or Trump supporter. We can't really do much with that story. We can cover it, but not to the extent, not with the fervor that we cover a story when there's non-blacks involved, could be Hispanic, could be white or whatever, especially when it's white people involved, when there's a white shooter. Oh, and the worst thing would be if there was a white shooter and black victims. Oh my goodness, he'd be the equivalent of Adolf Hitler.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as I close, I want to say this. I don't
That's
think
true.
the average normie in America is racist. I think that the media and politicians pick and choose when they want to be sad and heartbroken and outraged and raging against the NRA and the so-called gun lobby. They pick and choose their spots. This case, can't really do too much with that. Let's kind of ease off on the coverage. Let's ease off on the outrage. But then when it comes to a white shooter, especially a young white male, 18 years old, mental health issues, incel, oh, they cannot wait to hop on that and craft a narrative.
Right.
Unfortunately. But I think I'll leave that right there.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But he
I
basically sums up
agree.
really good.
I would agree 100%.
Yeah, my heart goes out to the families. You couldn't, like I said, that
That's
man was
horrible.
crying. He because he's
28
like,
people
he was
shot,
like,
4
I could have
killed.
just hold him and went the way I went.
Yeah. So and they're so hush mouthed about it, which is very odd.
It's very
I
messed
mean, it sounds like it was a drive-by shooting. If that's just the description I'm getting.
Yeah, but I don't know because the girl said it was in the bathroom when she saw the gun.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what happened. Again, it's a 16th birthday. Like, what the heck? Something's going on. A small town, but I don't know. You're from a small town, so I don't know. That's just weird.
My gut is telling me somebody was involved with a gang, and this was like some type of retaliation move. And the sad thing is, when gangs retaliate, they shoot up groups of innocent people. They don't just come just at you. So that is horrible.
Yeah. So I want to show you this situation here as well too, because it's going back to what we're saying. The family. Look. My wife said it the best. It's the nuclear family that's missing in a lot of these kids' life.
Yes.
A mother and a father. We are having children. Look, it's the truth, and I've said it multiple times on the thing. And I said, at a 70% clip, black mothers basically have single moms. That's what it is. It's sad, but it's that. And at this point right now, there's a lot of there are more black women than men. So as me and my wife talked about when we first met, it is kind of hard to find a lot more men to marry and whatever because the pool is so small. Because of one, a lot of these boys, the main reason a lot of these boys are arguing, fighting, and killing each other at a nasty rate.
Yeah, as we have seen.
They're killing each other at a nasty rate, so that takes away the boys. Sadly, also another thing that happens, a lot of these boys are getting also aborted at aborted because the mother didn't want to have a kid. That's the next thing. That's the second thing. Third is yes, they do not grow up with the discipline of having the father figure or whatever. I saw a video today. I'm not gonna show this one. I saw a video today. This guy was dating this woman, and she was trying to, as my wife saw another video we talk about with the video game and stuff that I told you showed you, but this one, and I'm gonna show you later on if you want to. If you don't want to, that's all cool. I'm just saying. But the son was hitting the dude, doing all this stuff, and he said, "I'm done. He's not respecting me. I'm telling him to stop doing this, and he's not respecting me." And she's like, "What? You gonna leave me because my son don't want?" I'm like, "Yes, that's an extra headache." So even if you have a stepfather who's trying to step in and do the right thing, it's making it more difficult.
It takes a lot of work.
Yes.
So making families work.
Yeah. So God bless you that you know that you are who you are, and that to marry you.
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm just saying that even though, and to be honest, even though I was raised mostly by a single mom, I had male figures in my life, but I'm just saying I was with a single mom. Me and my sister, we both defied the statistics. And I'm happy. Both graduated, both never been in trouble, never been nothing. We both, all this stuff, don't have no illegitimate kids nowhere, none of that stuff. We're that. She has a mother and a father and grew up with that. And we talked to all issues back and forth about this because I understand it. I understand some of you women out there, yeah. I've been to that spot where women say, "Oh, you were raised by a single mom. I don't want to date you." I had women told me that in the past. I have.
But one thing, and I'm not speaking because I do know men in America that are raised in the States that were raised by a single mother and have grown up to be amazing men and have families. But one thing that is that you wear is your culture.
Yeah.
You were not raised in the States. Your outlook on having resources and having food to eat and education and relationships, all of that is shaped and molded by your culture. And so you being raised by a single mother in the culture that you were raised in, honestly, and I've told you this, especially when we in our earlier span of dating, the culture you were raised in with the type of mother that you had is honestly equivalent to probably a lot of the guys that I probably came across that were raised in a nucleus family in the States, because there's still a lot of coddled kids that are raised by two parents.
And you know what? The reason I didn't mean to cut that off. The reason I'll say this to you is I understand where you're coming from, and I will say, going back to the topic we had at the beginning of the show, where it was a generation like that. I've seen, as you, I know a name, Benji. You know what I'm talking about. Now you see that culture has also got eroded as well too.
Yeah.
Young kids even if so that has also gone.
It's not the same.
No.
But in the time that you grew up, that things were much different. And I've told your mom, I said, I get to reap the benefits of the type of man that you raised, because in today's time, truly, if you have an ounce of morality and responsibility, and you feel like you were raised with some level of substance and responsibilities as a child, it discredits your childhood to therefore procreate and have a child be brought up completely away from some sort of resembling foundation that you got. But that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of our generation bringing up children that look completely different from what they were taught. Yeah. Some of it is very much generational. We do see that.
And some is peer pressure as well.
Some of it is peer pressure. Yes. But some of it is just people have just stepped away from things that worked for them. and are choosing a more destructive and irresponsible path for how they're bringing in the next generation.
Yeah.
And I joke all the time, and I said, if we wanted to just do that, both of our mothers would smack us up beside the head. And honestly, that's a positive, because it gives you that sense of accountability. To have children is a privilege. That is a responsibility, I believe, from God. That's not just, oh, something you just take for light. So to see your children running up and down the street and running amok and beating up on people and tearing up other people's possessions, and God forbid stealing a car, that should have your heart jumping out of your chest. There should be nothing inside of you that is okay with that.
I was gonna say, yeah, and again, as my wife puts out a very, very good point, because again, it's something that's getting to the situation right now where a lot of kids right now are just getting, because again, the reason I said the name, but I will keep it, because out of respect. My sister and somebody else that we know grew up same age, has more than what than my sister have, but they're total opposites. Their lifestyle. You see the lifestyle and everything, total opposites. That person right now is already have a kid, and now dating somebody who's still married. Well, my sister is getting her boyfriend, and I met the guy, and he's a nice guy. Right. Classic, solid guy from the Caribbean too, but nice, solid guy, whatever. That's just that's how it's so close. They grew up together, but so apart. Right. They went different directions out of the lock.
Well, one thing that I think that is, and this is sad for a lot of young people. When I say young people, I'm talking about that late teen or early 20 bracket. You have two kids. You have usually, when you see that kind of fall destructive path, they're usually in two categories, where they started off with the bar set very low for them.
True.
Or either they are easily influenced and they are naive to think that, oh, I can do a little fun for now and it's not going to have lasting consequences. And sometimes you can be that one who looks up and you don't get, too far out there. But a lot of times these young people are making these consequences. They sleep with the wrong person. They find themselves out at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it is lasting consequences. It shapes and changes their life for the rest of their life. And there needs to be more of that. Life is not to try to be a killjoy, but there are some acts that you can do one time, and it could have a lasting effect on your life for the rest of your life. And it's not this whole untouchable, nothing's gonna happen to me, you only live once mentality. You need to really, really get some reality in there.
Yep, she's right. She's correct. And that's the part that's kind of crazy. And again, I want to show you something right now. And again, you see how one side is say something, and it's like that's surprising. But then here's the thing. It's just, again, as you saw, those kids was in teenagers, was in Walmart. I still want to know why you have all those. Like, what makes you think all that porcupine face looking make you feel so good? That's just look nasty to me.
It's a personal preference. It's not
that's
one
no
that
personal.
I can
That's
understand.
a really personal preference, like a porcupine. I don't care. But the sad thing about it is a little girl right beside it eating food, teaching that little girl, "Hey, it's cool to do this." And then you wonder why Walmart is leaving this.
Right.
Leaving.
And then in the clip,
and
in the clip where they were showing the mob of kids, they said they had just run amok at a Walgreens. Yeah. So it would not surprise me if the Walgreens has to make a tough decision as to like what do we do? Because they're claiming that this may go on into the summer.
Yeah, well, it will, because this is Chicago.
So,
but here's the thing again. People always talk about, and I shout out to Oshidu Jackson as he talked about it. Here's a video about it saying Walmart. He's saying these Walmarts come, take all the corporations came, take the money, run out of mom and pops, and people voted for that. So the people that, so I get that. And because in the video they had a guy say, we're the customers, you need us and stuff. And you're right. But here's the thing though. Even mom and pops are getting destroyed with that. I showed a video in New York with a guy who was a who did a pharmacy, and they went in there and ransacked the pharmacy, and he's like, "I'm not billing back up."
Right.
I'm not billing back up.
And people don't realize. I would love for so many people who aren't connected to a small business owner or that way of life. They don't realize that is their child in a sense. That how much of a risk you take to open up a business anywhere.
Yep.
And then let alone in a place that has been riddled with thievery and crime. That crushes your soul a little bit.
Yeah.
To be attacked in that way when you're just out here trying to have this business and be a part of the community and provide this, and you got to deal with that.
No,
I mean, this is
correct.
not Afghanistan. We're in the United States, and we got.
Again, but that's what we call a Chirac.
Chirac, exactly.
So
exactly.
So here we go. One more. This one right here before we got something local, but we're gonna end it off on a good note. But I gotta talk about this. Have to talk about this, so my wife can see this, because I know she's gonna have a reaction as well too. Sorry, I just gotta get over that. And again, I just feel bad for all the kids out there, because it's just sad. That's what it is. I muted it. I didn't know that.
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Just feels bad, but you'll see what it is.
Public school system practically raising children these days from 5 years old into adulthood. As I've mentioned previously, they spend the most time with the young people that will make up our future. From teachers, assistants, deans, administrators, counselors, to the cafeteria workers, nurses, school bus drivers, janitors, groundsmen, and security. There are so many people a part of the system that do their part. Now, I don't support teachers who meet up with their students at hotels, teachers who get pregnant by 13-year-old boys, or substitute teachers who pay students to put hands on other students because they don't like them. No way. I don't support any of them at all.
Neither do we.
But I do support the good people in the system. It's not easy dealing with students.
And like I said, that's why I said, evil is evil, good is good. I don't care what race, color, height, gender you are. If you're good, you got my support to do the hard work that you're doing. And it's not easy. But we gotta, they're bad. Like we talk about the cops. They're bad cops. Yeah. They're good cops, they're bad cops. They're good teachers, they're bad teachers. And we got you got good kids and we got bad kids. Just is. So this story right here, you're gonna see the people will say, oh, this one was racist. I said, nah, you know what? Nah, no. She did what she said what she had to say. And again, because she said it in a better way, maybe, but when you are ticked off, including when it comes to your life.
Oh yeah.
You were that.
Not long ago, you had one teacher quit right in the middle of class, just packed up her stuff and walked out.
And people are laughing. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I don't even care if I don't get paid today. I'm just a stupid old white lady. That's all.
Oh God, ain't no way y'all can start this.
Yeah, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Hey, whoa.
I'm walking right out the door. I won't ever be back.
The teacher there was distressed. She had no more patience left to deal with the students, and she just
was
left.
done.
And now there's a bus driver from Ohio who went viral for cursing and yelling at unruly students on the school bus. Take a look.
I know I can smell it. I didn't do anything. I didn't spray anything.
Sick of you.
I'm sick of all of this. I'm done with it. I'm gonna start kicking some. Get serious.
Kelly Blue Book is.
I'm already forming my opinion.
You are?
You hear me? Yes. My foot's gonna be so far up your goddamn ass, it's gonna dangle out your goddamn nose. I'm done with you. That phone in your bag. Now you give it to me. All right, fine. Done. God, I can smell it.
I didn't spray anything.
I'm allergic to this.
I didn't spray anything. It's right in the big bag.
See, she telling other girls telling.
You like to start too, Maya. You're no innocent angel here. I'm done with this. Done. I've had my fill. I'm done with it. I'm ready to walk off this goddamn bus right now and let you people walk the f home. How much more do you think anybody can freaking take? Shut your mouth. I don't want to hear another goddamn word out of your mouth. Okay. Excuse me. What did I just freaking tell you? You think it's funny? You think it's funny? You're all, no you didn't. You're so full of Jackson. You're as bad as he is. Done! Done! Got another goddamn word out of any of you. Done!
Take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. Shout out to everybody from Ohio. If you're watching, let me know. By a girl spraying perfume that she told her not to spray. The bus driver said she was allergic. She pulled the bus over and started yelling and cursing at the girl and other students. She went off on a boy telling him to shut his mouth. And one thing that she repeated a few times that stood out was how much do they want her to take? It sounds like she's been tired of dealing with these children and she just had enough. But as a professional, she was out of order and broke the code of conduct. That's why the superintendent had to respond to this publicly when the video went viral. And they ended up forcing her to resign immediately. The media caught up with the school bus driver to give her side of the story.
How much more do you think anybody can freaking take? Shut your mouth. I don't want to hear another word out of your mouth.
You have likely seen that viral video of an Amherst bus driver yelling at students. Tonight, we're hearing her side of the story. She spoke with our Bree Buckley about the moments leading up to what you saw in that video. And Bree, what did she tell you?
Well, Russ, first off, she says the last couple days have been tough and upsetting. She's been a bus driver for 15 years in different parts of the country, about 2 years here at Amherst. She tells me she misses the kids she drove every day, calling the majority of them smart and wonderful. As for the support, well, that's been a shock for her.
How much more do you think anybody can freaking take?
This video has been viewed on TikTok nearly 3 million times.
Sick of you. I'm sick of all of this. I'm done with it. I'm gonna start kicking some serious.
Now Amherst bus driver Jackie Miller is sharing what you don't see in the video.
That particular day was challenging, to say the very least, because it started the minute this core group of students had gotten on the bus.
She says a group of kids on her bus constantly act out, purposefully instigating her for the last couple of years, and she finally had enough.
I'm sorry the way this went down. I truly am. I do apologize for my actions on that day, but I won't take it back.
She tells me she suffers from asthma and strong fragrances trigger her attacks. One student yelled that another had sprayed perfume, which led to what you see.
I didn't spray anything.
I'm allergic to this.
This after she tells me she just had an attack last month.
And she sprayed perfume on the bus and I had a horrible asthma attack. I had stopped the bus, grab my inhaler, and just try and get my lungs to open up again. When I had all the kids open up all the windows, but they know this.
Right.
Amid a
And
nationwide
they
bus
still-
driver
Even before, I guess I'm just old school and militant. Because even before she had said anything about, got to the asthma attack, I already was like, it ain't the language I would use. But I got a grandmother who probably would have said the same thing. Because kids, this is a moving vehicle. Stop playing. Don't be doing that. Sit there and get to your destination. And those are high school kids more than likely, so they know better. I don't if you wouldn't do it, well, I would say if you wouldn't do it in the car with your parents, then don't be sitting on the bus and do it. And that's how it is. They run them up, they throwing paper and all this little stuff around. It was when I was in school. They got cell phones now. But no, sit there and behave yourself.
Shortage.
But yeah, that
Jackie
Hassler
says
situation, that's completely serious. This woman is driving the bus. So I can understand completely why she react like that. Because she have an asthma attack behind the wheel, then what?
No, you're 100% correct.
This is partially why.
This is a plight of all bus drivers. We are treated in the worst possible sense of the word.
My foot's gonna be so far up your gonna dangle out your nose.
That saying now on a t-shirt sold by Mistakes on the Lake Apparel Company in Vermilion.
We all kind of just felt for her.
Oh, Lordy. You got to love the opportunities of Americans, boy.
Get that money, but it's going towards her, though, which is good.
Oh, my gracious.
In that moment, like, we've all had bad days. We've all gone through hardships, and we just kind of, I think our hearts just kind of bled for her.
Shop owner Jackie Adkins donating $5 of each t-shirt sale to the bus driver, since she's now without a job after resigning, as support from a GoFundMe page started for her continues to soar.
There's just no words to say how grateful that I am, for the people that have supported me.
I spoke to the Amherst superintendent tonight. He tells me multiple students have been disciplined following this incident, though he couldn't give specifics on how many, what they're being disciplined for, or how. As for Jackie, she hopes to be a bus driver again soon. She tells me she drove disabled adults for years in Cleveland, and Russ, she hopes to get back to something like that.
Certainly.
And I hope it creates a culture of high school students who become more respectful and behave on the school buses, because that has been an ongoing thing. Because there were times where I know some school buses have to have an attendant, not for so much special needs children, but just to kind of keep kids from being so rowdy because they're on a school bus, and they feel like this is an opportune time for them to get mischievous and do things that they may not be able to get away with, out in the school itself. I know for myself, I didn't like riding the bus growing up because I got anxiety from just watching so many kids just playing and doing stuff, and that was back in the 90s. So I can't imagine how it is now.
Thank you.
They started a GoFundMe for her, and it's at over $100,000 now.
Wow.
But she said, okay, I'm tired of dealing with these kids. I'm not trying to be a bus driver for children anymore. She's saying that she would rather deal with disabled adults. That student who did that was evil. She knew that she had asthma. And side note, the bus driver had an asthma attack before. It was pretty recent here, and an asthma attack, that's serious. You can lose your life. So basically, the bus driver is saying that student intentionally sprayed perfume to trigger her asthma. We already know that female student was not really disciplined at all. Just like in all these situations, the superintendent is not getting down to the real problem. These children are disrespectful because they come from homes either where they have no guidance, or they came from homes where they are allowed to run amok and do whatever they want to do.
Right.
They're allowed to act up at home, so that they go to school and act up too.
Hyundai, that's true. That is true. They act up. And it goes to what we were saying about the families and everything like that. It does go to that regard.
I mean, because the reality is, even if you think you can get away with something at school or in the bus, if a child feels like that they have no consequences at home, that they are likely to do what they want to do. But if they think that, I might can get away with it at home or at school or whatever, but Lord knows if my mom or dad found out, it's going to be some trouble. That is usually the make or break. Because you have to have standards over your children. You should
But here, I want to continue this. You brought me up because I just remember another video to see, that's what I said. I get the video. I always bring my receipts. Oh, sorry, it's the wrong button. I pressed the wrong button.
It still works.
You serious? Yes. We're serious. But yes. Bring my receipt. So what she just said to you remind me of exactly what a video to say. But let's finish off that video that you guys talk about. Because there's another part of this I want to hear, you know.
School bus driver is out of order for sure. You can't just go cursing the students out, even when they get on your nerves. Now, what she should have done was quit her job and went to another one. That's what I would advise anyone working in education who just can't take it anymore. The school, the community, the students, no one is really giving the proper respect to people who work in education. And then they already don't get paid enough money anyway to have to deal with these out of control students and their parents. Because we know a lot of these unruly kids come from unruly parents.
Yep.
The good thing for the bus driver is that she doesn't have to put up with that anymore. Also out of Ohio, Senator Nina Turner. She was recently on the Breakfast Club, and during that interview, she talked about school safety concerns.
Now, DJ, I love the idea of having parent patrols. In the city of Cleveland, there was a councilwoman. She's no longer here on this plane of existence. She's in the ancestral plane, but her name is Fannie M. Lewis. And she had a program where she funded parent patrols in and around schools. Now, they weren't armed, but it was just the very nature of their presence.
And that goes back to the video I did with PragerU with the fathers who went down there.
That's the first thing
and make
I
a
thought
difference. The father, they had no guns, they had no whatever, but they straightened up
Powerful.
that school. That's why I say fathers are important just as much as the mothers. Okay? You need the fathers in there, and those are not their kids. Their kids go to school, but they did a camaraderie.
Just
as you
their
said in the video.
presence.
Yeah.
Is powerful.
And she just said it. Now, she's a feminist, not surprising. And you're going to hear the next thing too, so I'll just let it go.
So could there be a beautiful thing in helping the community and funding, paying people to be out there? And they don't have to physically be a parent, like biologically be a parent, but people in the community, particularly men, because we need some more man energy. I don't give what nobody else got to say. And I'm every woman. And I'm fine with saying that we need some more man energy, because I know some of them folks out there don't believe in that. But we need some more man energy out there, and especially in Black communities, to see Black men out there around schools. In some cases, too many of our households in the Black community are run by women because, you know, certain things are popping off. I get it. But to love and embrace a community, there's an African proverb that says it takes a village, and let the village come together. And women too. I'm not saying we don't need women, but so many children don't even have the presence of a real strong, loving man in their lives. They don't see male teachers because teaching is not necessarily a profession that men gravitate to because the pay too low. While we at it, let's go on and increase the pay of teachers, the people that mold minds. But that parent patrol is an excellent idea. It has been done before, and we should do it again. The goal is to prevent it from happening, not to act when it happens.
And I'll say, I agree, because again, I've seen it happen. I showed it on my on the show. It does happen, all right? And I agree with that. Even if I don't agree with the person, like a lot of stuff, but if they speak truth, the truth, not these multiple truth stuff, I still remember the first day when I did that with my baby girl, when she was like, "But Travis, my truth." I'm like, no. We stop that. Stop that. The first day you said that, I was like, no. I'm cool with you and everything, because we was really starting to know each other. I said, I'm cool with you.
Fresh is fresh.
Yeah, but I said, look, I don't believe in this my truth nonsense.
Yes. And I just said it in a casual way, but yes, he really was passionate in schooling me on that. And Lord knows, since then, it has definitely become a platform for both of us to stand on the truth, because it's a lot of different options that people choose.
Well, it goes back to last week's show where we talked about this the subversion. Pieces of the truth, people call that a truth, but you only get piece of the truth.
Right.
And then that subvert everything that you have. But again, so even if a person, even if Nancy Pelosi came out, and I don't like the woman, I know it's supposed to be God fearing, love I love everybody, I get it, but I'm just being strictly honest. Okay? But if Nancy Pelosi came up and said what this woman just said, I'll be like, correct, because that's how I am. I'm not gonna just whatever. Okay? But the reason I said correct, because you're gonna hear now why it's so kind of weird that she said this.
Here's my thing with that. For one, Nina is a liberal feminist. And please believe, there are conservative feminists too who love calling out the liberal feminists, but all of them are the same misandrists. It doesn't matter who they vote for. My problem with these activists, fight the power misandrists, is that their behavior, their attitudes, their mouths, their unwillingness to cooperate, their reckless reproductive habits, and poor thought pocket management all created this dysfunction. They are the ones raising all the children. Even when a father is involved, the court is still giving them primary custody, giving them the rights to make all decisions, or giving them the right to make the final decision. The dad could be paying $1,500 per month for one child in child support, and the mother is still allowed all authority and all responsibility for the decision making. I've already shown you several cases here to prove that. Women said, I'm independent, I don't need no man, or no man is going to tell me what to do. Now this is the result. The result of men being alienated and pushed out, and calling men leading and taking control toxic. Always wanting men to act like women. Even in a lot of these marriages today, it's shameful.
Oh, boy.
You have men who have been completely emasculated by their wives, and they won't do anything about it because they got broken a long time ago before their wife came into the picture. The first woman to do it was probably his own mama. But yeah, I just don't understand them with that. They do this all the time though. These women, they want to lead the community. They want to control the community. Then when it all goes down, they want the men to come in and clean it all up. Clean up the mess they made. What all of this proved over decades now is that women have no business leading the community in the first place. The men that's capable of leading should be followed. And if you can't find a leader to lead you and your family, ladies, you should not be creating a family with them. No excuse, you should not be having babies with them. But no, you won't do that. Let's keep it real. Because for many modern women, that's all they can attract. Yeah, because of who you are as a woman. And then they love to get men who let them emasculate them because that's what they want. They have an evil desire to be in control. Let's go ahead and...
Like I said, that's a woman saying that. I'm letting you know.
She ain't all that subtle.
No, she don't play that. But here's the part going to what you just said about the kids and the man. Just look at this. This is a short one. That's why I could bring it up.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water.
Wait a minute.
Yo, oh my God.
Same kid.
Summer Walker posted this here of her daughter. Her toddler is lashing out, hitting, and she shared this to her 5 million followers. And the first thing I thought when I saw this was, why? Why would she do this? Well, she did it because she thought it was cute. I'm telling you right now, though, this is not cute. These little kids won't be little forever. Yes. But the habits you teach them, the behavior you teach them, that can last forever.
All
or at
of
least
that.
a very long time. It could definitely have long-lasting impact. This is how you instill bad behavior into a child at a young age. You know who don't think this is funny? People who deal with the results of it.
Exactly.
The early childhood professionals and the education professionals at the elementary and middle schools. Listen to their conversations about all the behavioral issues that they have to put up with every day. The education professionals who have to spend more time babysitting and trying to tame bad students than teaching. The bus drivers that got to put up with a bunch of kids at once while also making sure they stay safe on these dangerous roads with a bunch of crazy adults.
I put it all together so you see
this is
it's
not
a full
cute.
circle.
Just like I always say, a lot of people are not qualified for marriage. A lot of people are also not qualified for children.
parenthood,
Their kids
exactly.
are running around without any discipline, no guidance. That's because they're not being raised right. They raise them like this. Then they post it up on social media for giggles, when really it's nothing even funny about it.
Nope.
Nah, I'm sorry. This is out of order.
A hand pop ain't never hurt nobody.
I'm just, you're right.
Except for that hand for a moment. But
You're right. You're right. Let's try. I'm gonna try to get through this as quick as I can because again, my theme is all. When I do my themes, I have it for a reason, and I want to get you this. So this, sadly, this is in North Carolina.
Yeah, and this took off around the states, definitely in North Carolina, which is the state we live in, of course. But yes, it's become quite the topic.
Yes.
No respect for authority. Every day we're seeing the result of no structure in the homes. There's a video going viral now on social media showing a substitute teacher and a student fussing and tussling, tumbling and rolling all over the floor. We're going to get into that, but first, take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel.
Exactly.
Police say they were called to investigate an assault at Rocky Mount High School on Monday morning. The incident took place between a student
It's probably about 40 minutes from where I grew up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I know that area is it's a more rural area.
Yeah.
And Rocky Mount is known to have, it's a rural area, but it's known to have a more inner city type vibe as far as the school systems. There's more security there. There's usually more fights that are happening in that area. So, yeah.
Teacher. That teacher has been identified by police as Xavier Steele, who has worked for the school system approximately 1 year. Police said there were no injuries reported, and the incident remains under active investigation by Rocky Mount Police. The argument started towards the end of first period after the student was doing something that prompted the substitute teacher to confiscate her cell phone.
Right,
the student got mad because the teacher wouldn't give her phone back and wanted her to sit down. The teenager refused to return to her seat and continued to argue with the substitute, further escalating the issue. The girl was asking why didn't the rule apply to everyone else, and the substitute teacher responded, "It does apply to everybody." At some point, I heard the student curse at the teacher as she was getting into the woman's space, and the substitute kept telling her not to put her hands on her. The girl kept reaching around her and trying to snatch the phone from the substitute. She swung on her, then the teacher started swinging back. Both of them continued to swing on each other and fell to the floor. The substitute started yelling for the kids to go and get a teacher. Instead, all of them just sat there recording while the substitute's bare behind was all out.
Am I surprised by that? I'm not.
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Yep.
I'll get into that in a second. It was really crazy. Now, there's a policy that states if any employee is attacked by a student, the employee has the right to reasonably restrain the student to defend themselves to the point that they are free of the threat or attack.
Rocky Mount High School would have that.
You say like that? Okay.
Yeah, because we're seeing this because of smartphones and social media.
Yes.
Rocky Mount and the Edgecombe County, they've had their share of,
Craziness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saw the substitute teacher defended herself. Once she got her to the ground and the girl stopped, the teacher just held her down until somebody else came in. Now, as far as cell phone use goes, their policy code notes that administrators may authorize individual students to use wireless communication devices for personal purposes when there is a reasonable need for such communication. So it sounds like they may be prohibited from using cell phones unless authorized by administrators, or they're using it for something reasonable, like maybe an emergency.
And the reason they said because a lot of people are like, oh, it's an emergency, kids get my child and stuff like that. We didn't have that when I was growing up, and we still got to our parents.
Yes, it's a such thing as you call the school number and get the administrative office, and then they call over the intercom, Susie May, please come to the administrative office. Your mother is on line 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
Cell phone usage is addictive.
Sure, that's why, yes.
And when you have kids acting like that, she don't pay that bill.
Of course not. Jitterbug. I'm telling you. But go ahead.
But yet she is flipping out of ownership that she feels like she has to that phone.
And the thing that killed me, I was like,
she's in school.
Yeah.
Their policy states that if a teacher sees you with your phone, this is one of their policies. If the teacher sees the child with the phone during the lesson, and the child is not supposed to have that phone out, they have every right to take that, to confiscate that phone.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like I said, and the thing that came about this, you all have these devices here in yourself, and you can see that she's taking them out, whatever. But y'all still can't even cheat properly. Back in my day, we had papers. Hey, the answer is this and whatever, and y'all failing at a worse rate than us.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. How did y'all, you literally have the internet, the answers right there in the palm of your hand, and y'all can't even cheat efficiently. Man, creativity has got out the door.
Oh, yes.
The student was not supposed to be using the phone at the time.
Of course
which
not.
is probably why the teacher took it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, she did not want to listen. The problem is this girl didn't want to be reprimanded, so she started bucking up at the teacher. She had no business getting in the teacher's face, one as a student who was under the supervision and authority of the substitute.
This is a female teacher doing this to a female student
Right.
to a female teacher, so she ain't gonna have that respect like that.
And two as a child, running up in a grown woman's face and questioning her authority as if she was a grown woman too, even cursing at the teacher. All of that was out of order. She was apparently doing something in class that she wasn't supposed to do. The substitute disciplined her by taking the phone away from her, so then the girl just jumped up and basically had this attitude like, who are you to discipline me? Not wanting to follow her instructions and also not wanting to be held accountable either. We're talking about the lack of discipline, the disrespect of authority. Where do you think she learned this from? Yes, the student was out of order. And by the way, Summer Walker, this is what you get when you let your daughter put hands on you. They grow up and, like the old folks used to say, they start getting too big for their britches.
Exactly.
This is why no child should be raised without a father. And another reason why the feminists made a big mistake, pushing men out of the schools and the homes. Now you got these kids jumping up in teachers' faces, and this is at a high school. But they're also doing this in middle schools and elementary school. You have little kids 8 and 9 years old cursing out grown people at the school. And then the kids and the parents, they are never held accountable. It's like the teachers don't have any rights, which is why teachers are quitting left and right. Less people are choosing to become teachers, and they're also having a hard time finding substitutes. Remember that story I covered a while ago from the Shreveport area? The school system there having to beg people to come and apply to be a substitute teacher.
The reason some schools are struggling to stay open is because of teachers calling out sick. Caddo Parish schools tell us they're also in critical need of substitute teachers.
This is Lisa Woolfolk, the Chief Human Resource Officer for Caddo Parish Schools. Right now, she's sitting at her desk in the main district office, but lately she's had to take on multiple roles.
All of our divisions where we had certified employees that weren't already in the classroom, they were deployed. We are in a critical shortage for subs right now.
Now, don't get me wrong, there are some bad substitute teachers out there, and there are some bad teachers out there too, but most of them are good and undervalued. As far as the substitute teacher here, first I have to admit that she's out of order for that tight outfit. Ma'am, your clothes are too tight. When you have big legs and all that going on, you gotta buy your skirts a little bit longer and looser, because when you don't, you're gonna be pulling all day, and pulling every second is just silly, especially when working around children. Your clothes have to fit properly. Let's start there. And yes, I understand she could have done nothing. She could have ran out of the classroom and got the principal or something. But let me tell you something. When these kids get flipped at the mouth and you don't correct them, next thing you know, all of them start trying it. They all start testing you.
That's
which is
true.
why when these kids get out of hand, especially the big ones in high school, something's got to be done. And those kids are big. You don't just let them sit up there and hit on you. They'll have you leaving out on a stretcher. I guess they said forget this job and forget these kids.
I'm Emily Kaufman, the travel.
Pretty much.
Jobs, forget these kids. Pretty much.
Yeah. Keep it warm up here.
Thinking about that job anymore.
I put a fan on.
She's probably going to have a bigger problem here, though. You have people who saw this all over the place. It went viral.
Yeah.
The police, they're investigating, and they're probably going to try to press charges on her. I don't know. She could get arrested or end up with a record. And if that happens, it's going to make it harder for her to get another job, which sucks because it was a student who got physical with her. But, you know, in situations like this, it's like the adults, they don't have any rights. Everybody just expect for these teachers not to defend themselves.
Right.
It's like sometimes they'll say it's not okay to do it, and the other times you're a hero. But with a lot of people who are experiencing these issues in the system, they're noticing that it's not worth it. This student ran all up in her face, in her space. That was out of order, especially in an argument when that child had no business arguing with a grown woman anyway. When the teacher told her to sit down and she wasn't getting that phone, She should have sat down and did as she was told.
Exactly.
But you can't tell them nothing because they haven't learned the basics of discipline and respecting authority. Really respecting anybody. They are learning this bad behavior at home.
See, all like that right there? Yeah, I'm gonna be the tech person to make sure that no internet goes to nothing else than what it needs to be. Just in case. We might not have to do it, but I'm just making sure like that. Like, wait, I thought your mom sent you home to your bed. Why are you on that laptop? No.
Is the teacher going to get fired? Yes, more than likely she will be fired. Because of the optics of it all, they're probably going to ignore their own policy where teachers in that system are allowed to defend themselves until they are free from the threat. But I think we all know how this is going to go. The good thing about the substitute is if she ends up unemployed for a period of time, she has her husband, she's married, so she's not going to go through this alone. Let's go ahead and get the
Well, that was that. 15 hours, a few moments later. That's where this comes in now. Now, this is the other part of the story. And again, I don't have my comments because I don't have my phone to link in to get a comment section. So I know you guys gonna, I can't think. But anyway, this is her comment. This is Pink Book Lesson comment section, and you hear all the craziness. You hear the craziness now.
Before we get started, much love and respect to Rocky Mount, North Carolina. If you haven't heard by now, the teacher was arrested and charged with simple assault. Xavier Still was allowed to give a promise to appear in court and was released. The student, who was not being named because of her age, she's like 15 years old, was charged with simple assault as well via juvenile petition. And what it sounds like they're doing is trying to punish both of them to make it seem like it was equal, when it was a student who put her hands on the teacher, was being disruptive, and the teacher was only defending herself. Listen, all the substitute teachers, quit. Go and find another job, and then see what these administrators in these towns will do without you. Oh, and don't let the teachers all call out one day. Yeah, if you're working with bad, disrespectful children, let them all stay home a couple of days with their mama, and then see what they do. Because most of these parents defending this foolishness would lose their minds if they had to really keep their kids 24/7. And then ask those same parents, what will they do if their teenager got up in their face and hit them?
Right.
Let's see how quickly they change up then.
Exactly.
Now, everybody's been arguing all over social media on this. You have a bunch of people who said the teacher was wrong. Shout out to The Truth Revealed, who said the fact that this video went viral and so many women were disagreeing with the teacher and agreeing with the child, saying that she was just trying to get her phone back, shows why our community is the way it is.
Facts.
So true. No order, no structure. And then Life of Rut said, for the first time, I actually disagree with your statements. That teacher should have known better, and she actually hit her first by pushing against her in a very aggressive way. She has no right to take her phone in the first place. Nah, and it's okay for us to disagree on this. But that's not what happened. The student is clearly out of order. She was disrupting the class, all up in the teacher's face when she was supposed to be in her seat. Let's start there. If the student had her behind in that chair, none of this would have ever happened.
Right.
The student was being disciplined, and instead of taking her punishment until class was over, she started protesting. And y'all let these kids run amok. Let them get away with too much.
And mind you, in the scuffle between the student and the substitute teacher, if the student was larger than the substitute teacher and was pinning her down, we would have had a whole different scenario.
You brought up something
it's
that's gonna
because
come up.
the substitute teacher was able to subdue this girl. They don't like that scenario. Going back to the whole thing.
Babe,
But
one of the comments gonna hit you what you just said, boy. Go ahead.
Because the situation is, this child shouldn't have been up in her face. And their policy does state that they have that right to subdue the child. So her doing that, because you have another larger black female at that, subduing this child, that doesn't look quite right. So they got to do something to appease people and so forth. And honestly, I expected that much. I was like, yeah, the way our culture is, that ain't gonna work. When I was in middle school, I had teachers that still had paddles hung up on their wall.
Yeah.
So our culture is different. But yeah, in today's time, you see a teacher do that, they're not going to tolerate that. even though this child should not have been in a grown person's face, a person of authority. But
and he swung first.
Yeah.
They start acting like they're grown. They carry the same behavior into adulthood. They do not know how to act. That girl kept reaching around the teacher, which was also out of order. The substitute teacher still didn't respond to that. What made her respond was when the girl hit her. And I guess her being a grown woman, she was like, oh no, she wouldn't let her own kids hit her. What happened was this girl got out of a child's place going back and forth with the teacher. Like, who raised y'all? You don't sit up there and argue back and forth with a teacher like this.
Right.
Hanzo left this comment right.
Because for me, it's this. If my teacher, and I got it because like you said, the culture. And people have said this too. Yes. Back when I was growing up, if the teachers get home to my grandmother, I'm gonna whoop her by the teacher. I'm going home. My grandmother was gonna whoop me, and then my mama would have whooped me when she got home. So I did not want that headache.
Because you knew there were consequences coming.
Yeah.
This child didn't have any fear of the consequences, but she learned. Because the true problem was why she was bold enough to still stand her ground arguing with the teacher over her cell phone. That was the biggest error right there. It's a cell phone. Even if you didn't disagree with her position, that was not her right to do that. And she got called on it, as of course. She should have stayed in her desk.
There goes what you were going to say right now.
Right here, and said that teacher is twice as big and maybe 3 to 4 times heavier. What was she thinking? And just like I told Hanzo, you need to watch the video I did a couple of months ago. That teacher also was twice as big, but the student left her with a broken leg in the hospital.
Exactly.
She had to undergo surgery because she didn't defend herself.
Right.
That teacher is still out of work, recovering from all of this. And if y'all wonder what I'm talking about, you missed that video. It was about the students and the teachers at a school in Rockdale County, Georgia. If you want to watch that, the link will be below. Listen, I don't care how much bigger the teacher was. Just like that story in Georgia, that little girl got the windmilling on her teacher, and a punch is a punch. Size doesn't matter. I just can't get over how that teacher, Miss Turner, she spent most of her life teaching these children. And she should sue the school system too. That district where she's working at in Georgia, they train the teachers not to do anything. Like, no, I'm sorry. I don't agree with any of this. And you know what? For the people who disagree, it's okay. You don't have to like it. These teachers, assistants, and subs, they are there with their children, doing a job that majority of parents wouldn't want to do, even if they could.
Right.
Most of y'all still wouldn't homeschool your kids. But then you disrespect people like this? With this case in North Carolina with that student, the student was 100% out of order.
Hyundai versus the...
Exactly. 100% out of order. That's what it is. I will say this too. Hey, YouTube, y'all suck. Y'all used to give like 3, 2, 1 when things were. Now y'all changing that too. I don't like that. Again, I'm only doing this because I want to give her the ad revenue and everything for her videos.
Here's what Shanquitha said. She said, I love all these comments from all these perfect parents with all these perfect kids. I hope it stays that way forever. And before you ask, no, my children do not act like this. But if they do, I know I taught them better. Y'all act like we were never different in the absence of our parents. Yeah, growing up, especially as teenagers, we can say that a lot of times the kids may act different in front of their parents. But I don't know any children then or now who will go around putting their hands on teachers. That's
there
out
are
of order.
parameters that you have established or expect your children to act in if they're not around you. That's really what you're... And I say this not being a parent as of yet, but this is the philosophy that I was taught. You are parenting your children to be responsible when they're not in your presence. That's what you're doing, because that's when it matters. So if you're just gonna hang on to the fact that, well, if they're not around me, that and try to excuse that, that just creates the Chirac stuff that we see in Chicago.
That's correct. That is correct.
So out of line. I'm a millennial and probably the last generation who can remember the paddle. You could really get the paddle in school, but when I think about it, for the most part, the kids were in line. So I never saw one having to get the paddle now. I did see them ladies pull out them rulers. And if one of them got popped with a ruler, everybody else will be in line for the rest of the year. Or all they had to do was say they was going to call your parents.
Bingo.
And that's something you definitely didn't want to do. You would probably get in trouble right there in front of all your classmates. So this stuff they got going on today, where all the parents, they're trying to be best friends with their kids, I just can't relate. And then you had another person who came on talking about we don't know what's going on in the girl's life and what made her do that to the teacher.
That made no difference.
Honestly, it doesn't matter why she did what she did.
I don't care.
She jumped up in a grown woman's face and hit her. What are you talking about? If the police caught her in the streets, they wouldn't care either. You think an officer would just let her hit them with no consequences?
Exactly.
See, what y'all want is understanding. But you have to teach your kids that the world doesn't owe them understanding.
Exactly. That is 100% correct. And when I saw the video, I thought about the child's little MO of other people had their phone. Why you get picking on me? How many times? Who's ever been in a situation where you driving down the road and you got pulled over by the police, but there was 2 other cars that was going faster than you? When it's your turn, it's your turn. If you was guilty, you was guilty. Are you gonna sit there and get up in the police officer's face? Hopefully not. And fight for your right to not get a ticket? No. You're gonna sit there like a responsible adult and just deal with it as it is.
If that's true.
Especially before they grow up into an adult. Nobody is going to care about why. Even Robert Kelly out here, he's in jail now forever. You think the jury or anybody else involved care about his violation by his own sister? No, nobody cares. You're going to be judged based on your own actions, not your upbringing, not your underlying issues. That's how it goes. This is the world, the reality. And shout out to everyone who left comments on the last video. This sister here says she was mad at her classmates. Girl, we did not do anything. You alone decided to cut up. She was referring to the student. Whenever all this happened, she went on IG and she was mad at her classmates, saying that nobody helped her. She just turned into this whole victim after she went up there and struck the teacher.
That's why the other girl was like, not
Bass Reed says the only thing the teacher did wrong was wearing that outfit. Yeah, it was too tight. Ladies, you know when you have big old legs, you cannot do that. That skirt has got to be longer and looser. You can't do it. You have to wear clothes that fit you, especially when working around children. Here's another comment our sister said, this is why I will not go back to substitute teaching now. And hey, I do not blame her. Ralph says, start suing these parents expeditiously. Lauren O also commented here. She said, parenting is definitely the problem. The student needs to be expelled, and we know the teacher will need a new job. Of course, Lauren, when I saw this, I was just thinking, although they have a policy saying that teachers are able to defend themselves, they're not going to keep her on.
No.
Miss Lee, she said, I feel terrible for the children who are actually trying to learn.
True.
Deborah says, homeschooling. See how they like it then? Old School says, if I was a teacher, I would have given her back the phone and put her out of my class. I wouldn't waste my time trying to make a child this disrespectful understand. It's pointless. Shout out to AB, who said, I got out of the school system last year and never looked back. My mental health was sinking. AB said the school environment is toxic AF. The parents are sometimes worse than the kids, which is true. And then our last comment here that I'm going to highlight. Rain Beauty said the moment that Shorty chose to swing on that teacher, all that she's a child BS went out the window. You want to act like an adult, you're going to get treated like an adult. That's something they don't seem to understand when S don't go their way. And then they want to act like a dog, but then people get on their behind and then they can't handle it. That's exactly what happened here. Again, shout out to everybody in the comment section. I also want to let you know that North Carolina lawmakers, they are considering a new bill that would enforce more strict penalties on assaults on school workers. The legislation, HB 534, is working its way through the legislature and could classify certain assaults as felonies for repeat offenders. I don't know much about it, so I can't say I support it. Sounds like to me as if they're going to be just putting more felonies on certain students. It's more than likely addressing those extreme cases, but there are so many different levels of disruptions and misbehavior in the school. No, the first thing you're going to have to do is 1, protect your teachers. Get behind your good teachers, support them, value them. And then 2, you're going to have to get parents involved. Because most of this is on the parent who's responsible for their own children and their actions, by the way. You know, for instance, when it comes to civil situations, if a child did something, the legal parent is held responsible. So if their child is acting up, tell them you're going to cut off their food stamps. Tell them you're going to cut off that Section 8. If their child can't respect
She
their
got
teacher,
a point there.
tell them they have to come to school with their kid and sit there in their classes
man,
with them
she
in
got
order
a
for them to come to
point there.
school.
It's a
Tell
lot of
them that.
people who would be up
Those
for
are
to
just a
hear
few
that.
solutions.
But the reality is, and I'm gonna say it, is that a lot of children that are acting out like that are in home situations that way, and that'll get a parent's attention. So
that is true.
I think she's on to something.
That is true. Well, I have to be honest, and again, my wife put in a lot of good stuff in here. I had other stuff to bring, and we did have one child that was good. Shout out! I'll do the story at a different time. This young man who was 9 years old, who's going to college. He graduated high school at 9 years old, and he had his mother and his father. I can at least show you the picture of them, so you can see it on the screen, because it was a good. That's the young man right there. A nuclear
Shout
family.
out to him, 9-year-old.
Yep, 9-year-old.
All the best to them.
Yeah.
Sending love to them.
Like I said, the parents saying that they still had fun. You will see, still out there enjoying doing all the stuff. But I'll do this topic for next time. But I wanted to end on a sweet note. But this story pretty good. Dad's there, mom's there. That's what it is. A nuclear family, like my wife just said. All right. That's what it is, and they're trying to break that up right now with the utmost. They did it in the 60s to black families. They're trying to do it to Latinos. They're trying to do it to Asians. It's not that working on the Asians and Indians and Africans like that. But they did it. They did work it in the black community, black Americans, and it's sad. Literally sad. So again, yeah, we'll talk about that next time. Again, if those on YouTube and Facebook, you see this in a delay, sorry about that. Problems happen. It is what it is. You'll get it later on, and put your comments in there. Again, help us out on Facebook, on YouTube. You only have like 39 subscribers, but if you want to catch up a lot of the old stuff that we talked about, a lot of the old stuff that we talked about, and see all older videos, go there and check it out, and share it as best as you can. With that said, anything else before we leave there?
No, I think you just head out with your
outro.
With your infamous slogan.
Okay. Well, as I said to my wife, and to everybody out there, look, on a real note, you saw this. Be careful of what these politicians are doing.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you support the way that my wife was talking about these kids and everything like that, yes, let's do that. I don't care which party it is. Let's do that. Because the disruption in these classes has gotten very bad. That we're at the point, like I said, if we get kids, public school is not really an option for us.
Yeah, we've definitely said that.
So
definitely said that.
So that sucks.
That's where we are at.
Yeah. So that sucks.
And I say this to the vote, as much as you can, vote from facts over feelings.
Yeah, and
don't vote based off of how someone makes you feel. And I know that corruption is abundant in politics, but for the most part, vote from facts.
And again, also not even that, your local elections matters the most.
Yes.
As you saw with all the different things in there. Doing that. So remember, okay, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighbors. That's how you grow a strong community. Remember, evil comes in all shape, size, color, height, creed, sex, religion, location. Make no genders, no matter no difference. Evil's evil. And last but not least, of course, again, remember, people are stupid, individuals are smart. Be that smart individual. All right, peace out. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Catch y'all next Thursday, all right? Love y'all.